They kept clean sheets and didn't concede too many. They could always nick games, but the problems they've had defensively have caused them massive problems, and only scoring 6 goals, as I said, and it's obvious where the stats point to, and so they have got to find some creativity. They're not scoring and creating particularly many chances, so that alludes to the fact that they've got to try and win games 1-0 or 2-1, so they're not going to score many goals. So it's important for them tonight against a Wolves team who do like to play with lots of width, and generically I would say that Burnley concede quite from wide areas quite a bit. They're vulnerable down the flank, so it's a difficult game for Burnley tonight, but they are at home without their fans, of course, which makes a massive difference for them, and I think that's played a huge part as well. There's certain teams I think in the Premier League, and we've seen it this season, that have struggled in terms of Burnley and Sheffield United, I think have been vital parts in their success in recent years, and I think they're feeling it.
Burnley, of course, have a load of proper centre-forwards to select from. That is an issue for Wolves right now, and Nuno was talking about this in his pre-match press conference, Darren, that he feels that in the January transfer window they will have to address the imbalance they have up front in Raul Jimenez being injured currently. They've got the young Fabio Silva on the bench. Tonight, no proper striker. First of all, how important is Raul Jimenez to the way that Wolves move the ball and play their game?
Well, absolutely. He's a kind of classic number 9, really, but he works really hard off the ball as well, and I think not just his footballing ability, I think what he gives in terms of on the team sheet, on the pitch, in terms of leadership as well. I think he's a massive miss from them in terms of a leader as well. So yeah, they do need to address that, but the one thing that Wolves have done in recent years is spent money to make sure they do have that attacking threat. It's difficult for them when you have someone as important as Raul Jimenez and how many goals he scored, and they let Jota go to Liverpool, so they are needing to bring someone else in, but they didn't feel that Jimenez was going to be out for as long as he is. You didn't obviously see that kind of injury coming, but they still got plenty. They've got goals from around the team as well, which they've done in recent seasons. So as much as they're lacking in a forward attacking sense as an out and out striker, they have got goals from around them as well.
Yeah, Daniel Podence and Pedro Neto were the scorers the other night against Chelsea, and two players, I think you'd really call them wingers. Certainly we saw Podence at Olympiacos, he was definitely a winger, but they're the front two tonight, Darren. So how are they going to go about trying to break down Burnley, do you think?
I think they will play quite wide. Generally, they like to play with width, Wolves. I think if you've got two centre forwards that generally like to get width as well, I think you'll see a lot of those runs into the corners of the 18-yard box and the touchline. They'll make their runs into there to create things. But like all wingers, when I was playing myself, I didn't want to kind of just class myself as a wide player. You're there to score goals as well, and often those players can kind of do a job for you in a centre forward role, and they've been asked to do that at the moment, and they're quite capable. They've shown that already.
A couple of other notable team news really around Wolves tonight. João Moutinho returns from suspension and does start alongside Ruben Neves and Otasoe in central midfield. He missed the Chelsea game. Willy Boly is on the bench. He picked up an injury against Chelsea and was a doubt for tonight, so he doesn't start. That's why Max Kilman comes into the 11. Okay, you are listening to
TalkSport. Impress lost tribes people of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at TalkSport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to TalkSport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Golf! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10 when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Driving Home with Darren Goff and Durham. A sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, who hands up who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4 only on TalkSport.
Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs on Sport. TalkSport. It's the double O duo of the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksby and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on TalkSport.
TalkSport. Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents, and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. TalkSport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley against Wolves with me, Rob Daly, on Premier League Live. Action on the way very shortly. Kick-off in 20 minutes' time from Turf Moor for what will be the penultimate game of match week 14 in the Premier League. Of course, we had 4 brilliant games yesterday. Here's a reminder of the best of yesterday's action.
McGoldrick, can he cut the cross back here? Chance for Bogle, deflected it in! Sheffield United take the lead. Incredible scenes at the Amex Stadium. Trossard, his cross is a good one. Webster's up there, and Danny Welbeck has to score. And Danny Welbeck does score. And Brighton get themselves back on level terms with 3 minutes to go.
He steps up to the ball now. Jamie Vardy sends it down the middle, and Leicester have the lead as the half-time whistle is about to go. What an end to the half for the Foxes. Just in. High one over the top here for Maddison, who takes it down. James Maddison for 2-0! Leicester City double things up. A goal right at the end of the first half and a goal at the top of the second. Oh dear, this is going to be a really good goal chalked off, isn't it?
It's a fabulous goal.
He's offside.
Great
goal
take.
will not stand here. It's going to go back to 1-0. Drives in field now of Brighton. High ball into the box towards Jamie Vardy, who knocks it down, deflected in for 2-0. It's gone in off Toby Alderweireld, and there's no denying this one. Vardy peeled onto Serge Aurier, who was bullied in the air, and Leicester do have their second goal. They lead by 2-0.
Yeah, and they've lost it again here, Leeds, and it's Fernandez coming down the middle, 20 yards from a goal. Can he get a shot across? He lays it to McTominay with a strike low and hard, and into the bottom corner, and with 1 minute on the clock, it's Scott McTominay into the side today, and in with the first goal of the game. Manchester United 1, Leeds United 0. As McTominay's in again, and he finds the bottom corner again. Scott McTominay, 2 in 2 minutes for Manchester United's midfielder. Brilliant link-up play on the edge of the box, and Manchester United have come flying out of the blocks. 2-0 the score to Marcal. Brilliant tackle from Ayling, and now Fernandez with a shot low and hard, and into the back of the net, and Manchester United are running away with this game. On the corner, into the mix it goes. There's the header in off the post and into the back of the net, and Leeds United do have their goal, and up from the back it's Cooper who gets his head on it, which is the play, looking for the run of Dan James, who's into the penalty area, through the legs of the goalkeeper, and it's Manchester United 5, Leeds United 1, with a slow run up, and he sends the goalkeeper to the left of Meslier, who was never going to get there. Fernandez gets his second of the game, and we knew there was going to be goals this evening. Into the feet of Dallas, he gets a shot away and puts it top corner. What a goal that is, Stuart Dallas.
Here's the penalty for Aston Villa, and they have scored a third. El Ghazi drives it down the centre, no chance for Johnston, who's moved to his left, and the scoreline rather reflects the way the game has gone now. They were holding on for so long, West Bromwich Albion. They're now 3-0 down.
So that was the best of Sunday's action in the Premier League. Brighton drawing with Sheffield United 1-1. Spurs losing at home to Leicester by 2-0. Manchester United with that remarkable 6-2 win over Leeds United, and Sam Allardyce getting off to a losing start with West Brom as they were beaten by Midlands rivals Aston Villa. Darren, shall we start with United Leeds? Because that was a lot of fun yesterday. Crazy game with 8 goals. What did you make of it?
Well, thoroughly entertaining, and you know, with all this lockdown going on, that's one of those games you wish there was fans there. A classic encounter between two sides from up north, Man United and Leeds. You know, so we see some classic encounters over the years between them, and this was no different, I have to say, for considering the atmosphere wasn't there in terms of the fans. It was some spectacle. I don't think we expect any different from Leeds in terms of the way they approach the game, but you know, we've looked at Manchester United this year, and lots of people have been very critical, but you know, the 2 games in hand they win, they find themselves in second place potentially, so it's not all bad, is it?
What do you make to the people saying that maybe Marcelo Bielsa has to compromise the style a little bit? I mean, look, for us the neutrals, it is brilliant fun watching them win and lose in these crazy games, even thinking back to the first day of the season when they were beaten 4-3 at Liverpool. I can't see him changing the way he plays his football, but do you think it would be sensible for Leeds, because there is, you know, preserving Premier League status, that's an important thing for them this season?
Yeah, I think it's right to be critical, but I think the way he's doing things, I still think they'll be good enough to stay up anyway, just purely because of their endeavour, and they do score plenty of goals. I know they concede them as well, but I think they've got enough to be able to stay in the Premier League, and have probably shown that already, so I won't see him changing. I think everybody's right to be critical of it, because you know, any good Premier League team is built on a good defence, and they're conceding too many goals, but they're half good going forward as well, and they're a brilliant watch. You know, I mean, the amount of pace and power and endeavour and I mean, the commitment from those players is outstanding. Whether they can do that for a full season and stay in the Premier League is yet to be seen, but from what I've seen so far, I wouldn't question really the way they're performing. I think if it is a neutral, it's brilliant to watch. 14
points, 17 games. They are 7 points clear of the relegation zone, currently Leeds United. Let's get on to one of your former clubs, Darren. Leicester City, they were fantastic at Spurs yesterday, getting that 2-0 win. They have been a bit up and down, and they seem like a better away team.
Yeah, they have.
Right now, Leicester City. Can you put your finger on why that is exactly? Because yesterday they had way more of the ball than Spurs did.
Yeah, which is unusual. They normally like to play on the counter-attack as well, and I think Spurs realised that yesterday. But when you've got a man like Jamie Vardy in this side, it doesn't matter what system you play, he will catch you out in certain areas, and he did it again yesterday. He's just an outstanding player. And I don't know, you can't say it's anything to do with the fans in that instance, purely from away from home, because you'd think the home form would be better when the fans are there. Obviously with no fans here, it doesn't help Spurs yesterday, but it kind of levels things up. But I don't know, injuries this season as well. They've lost quite a few players, but the players that have come in, and particularly the youngsters, have done really well and kept them up near the top of the table. So I envisage them being in the top 4 again this season. They're an exciting team to watch. Defensively, they're fairly strong. They put in a poor performance every now and again when you least expect it, but they've got Jamie Vardy, and for me, someone like him who scores the amount of goals that they do, that they're always going to be in contention.
He seemed to hobble off at the end of the game as well, Jamie Vardy, with a groin problem. We'll see if he's okay for Leicester's next game, but when that does happen, he's generally out for a few days. On to Spurs from that game then as well, Darren. That system, the way that Spurs have been playing, has been working, pre-Liverpool, relatively well. They got wins over Arsenal and City and held Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Can you see areas of criticism at Spurs and the way they performed yesterday in North London?
I mean, it's difficult to be critical. I think you'd always give a manager time when he comes in. I know he's into second season now with Spurs in the way he sets up, but Mourinho's not going to change anything the way he plays, and I think he's pretty much got it right from a team that was in disarray really when he took over, to a team now that's been in contention at the top of the table. So I think Spurs fans generally will be pretty happy, and I don't think there's anything you can pull too much apart of their performance yesterday. Perhaps in terms of going forward, they didn't have enough of the ball, but that's the way Mourinho sets his teams up. He wants to hit teams on the counter attack, but when you play someone against Leicester who actually have got ball players in the central midfield areas in Madison that will be creative if you give them time and space, and they exploited that yesterday.
Final quick one on yesterday's action, Darren. West Brom losing at home to Aston Villa. Villa looking fantastic. But West Brom obviously have made that managerial change, removing Slaven Bilic, bringing in Sam Allardyce. Do we take much from the game at the Hawthorns yesterday, or is it, it's tough to get that first result so quickly when I don't think Sam Allardyce has been working with the players very long?
No, but sometimes you get that changeover reaction very quickly, and you do get a result. And I would expect it, probably that was a game where I would have predicted maybe West Brom would have pulled something out of that. But I just think they look poor. I mean, you can, as a manager, I know Allardyce has got this amazing record of keeping everybody up, but I just can't see it this season unless they spend fairly large in January, which I don't think they're going to do. A manager's only as good as the players he can put on the park, and I think when you look at West Brom compared to any other team in the Premier League, I don't see where their goals are coming from, and that's the biggest problem in the Premier League. You've got to score goals to be able to stay in it.
Okay, let's turn our attention back to tonight's action. We can see on a foggy night in England's northwest the players just going through some shooting practice before heading back down the tunnel ahead of Burnley against Wolves in the Premier League later on tonight. What a game at Stamford Bridge. It is Chelsea versus West Ham. Let's hear from the two managers, David Moyes, in a moment. First, Chelsea boss Frank Lampard.
I think he's doing a great job. They have good players. The way they're playing and the consistency they've got to the levels they've got this season been really impressive, because I think he's a experienced, very, very good manager who's obviously got his message across to them, and they're playing really well. The organisation of their team, the style that they play in is difficult to play against. They had threats on the counter-attack. They're very good at set pieces, so they're just playing really well. They're clearly a well-managed team.
We'll do our best. We're in good spirits ourselves. We've been on a run of good results. We can play better, but we also know that we've got a resilience about us at the moment, and we want to keep it going. We want to stay up near the top if we can. It's much better than it's been over the last year or so, looking at ourselves near the bottom three, so we want to try and stay away from that as much as we can.
Things going well for David Moyes and West Ham, currently 21 points from their 13 games. They start the day 1 point behind Chelsea in the Premier League, who were flying in the opening weeks and were being touted as title contenders. Darren Eady, we heard Frank Lampard there praising David Moyes, a man who has come in for a lot of stick, and there was a lot of surprise when he returned to West Ham. What are your thoughts on what he's done so far this season?
Well, I think he's done a brilliant job, but I also think if there's one team in the Premier League that has actually benefited from not having the fans there, is probably West Ham, because I think you looked at them at the start of the season and perhaps thought that they were going to struggle, but I think West Ham fans are very, very vocal when you play in front of them. I've played there myself, and I know when things aren't going well, it's a very difficult place to go and play, and particularly if you're the home side. So I think if anything, it's helped them a little bit, but once you get on a run like they've got on at the moment, again, it seems everything's kind of levelling out, and you can see there's only 1 point between the two teams, Chelsea and West Ham, and I didn't think Chelsea have fallen away a little bit. You can't expect things to happen overnight for Frank Lampard, and he's had a pretty good start to his reign at Chelsea, but expectations are that they will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, and I think rightly so, because he spent big as well in the summer. So I think that the Chelsea fans are right to believe that they should be doing probably better than they are at the moment.
You look at the league table, it just feels like everyone's been top or second at some point. I mean, Southampton, I swear they were second a minute ago. They're sixth now.
It's crazy. and I was listening to Troy Deeney talking on TalkSport earlier about how we're considering Manchester United to go second if they win their two games in hand. Are they title contenders? Which of course they would be. Yeah. But then you have to say the same about Villa. Again, a team who's down in the table in 8th or 9th, but that can go second if they win their two games in hand and others don't. So yeah, you have to consider them. But it's one of those seasons, isn't it? I think Liverpool look strong. I mean, they do, despite the lack of Van Dijk at the back. They still look very, very strong. Everybody else underneath them appears to me anyone can beat anybody. It's an exciting season, but I do think it is a massive leveller without the supporters being there, and I think we've seen that, which is shown in the results and particularly the amount of away games that are being won by teams compared to before lockdown.
No fans in attendance tonight at Turf Moor ahead of Burnley versus Wolves, which is our early kick-off. Let's focus on the early game on Monday night. We'll hear from Wolves boss Nuno in a moment. First, here's Burnley boss Sean Dyche.
Sometimes you have a bad patch, we had a bad start, many different reasons for that. I think now that we're getting players fit and we're finding a more balanced group of fit players, then our form's beginning to change. And over the last number of games, I think you've seen that with the results, with clean sheets, with the attitude of the players to go and give everything to the cause.
We're looking to sustain our levels of performances. This is always what we aim and what we try for. try to be consistent through the game and game after game. This is the process that we are trying to, again, Monday, compete well against a tough team, like I said before. It'll be a tough match, and our idea is to compete well, to play good football, and this is what we're working for.
I think the basics of what we do, the energy of the side, the commitment to the cause, and also the shape of the side has been better. I think that balance we're searching for now, because we've corrected that somewhat from early season, although obviously injuries as well, people are getting fitter. I think the balance we've got to find is that attacking element to our game, because we've found over the seasons we can be an attacking force enough, of course, to win games, which is not easy in the Premier League. We're not quite firing at the moment in that front zone. Although it must be said, when statistically you're not quite scoring, particularly strikers, then the stats are coming back your way, actually. The longer it goes, they're actually coming back your way. Strikers score, whenever that comes now, of course. Our job is to make that happen rather than wait for it to happen.
Burnley is a good team. We create a lot of problems. It's a physical team, but with good possession of the ball. Very compact, talented players in the midfield and up front. So very tough, very, very demanding challenge.
Nuno Espirito Santo there, his thoughts on taking on Burnley tonight with his Wolves side. A brief reminder of some of the headline team moves for this one. Burnley, that had named an unchanged 11 for 3 games in a row, do make one alteration tonight as Ashley Barnes comes into the team to replace Jay Rodriguez, who drops to the bench. Burnley 4-4-2 as expected. Wolves, having switched back to 3 at the back for the win over Chelsea, go with that again tonight. Willy Boly only fit enough for the bench. Max Kilman comes in at centre-back. Podence and Neto will lead the line. This is Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio. Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Ravens. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19. Because what
TalkSport Legion, assume tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, TalkSportus can defeat it.
TalkSportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me, I was
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Welcome to Turf 1 for this evening's Premier
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley against Wolverhampton Wanderers from Turf Moor. I'm your host, Rob Daly. Alongside me is the former Norwich City and Leicester City winger Darren Eadie. This is Premier League Live. The players are out of the tunnel at Turf Moor 2 on what is a wet and miserable night in a tough test for Wolves here, as Nuno was saying pre-match. Darren Eadie.
Yes, it is a difficult game for them tonight. I think Burnley, the next three games they've got coming, they've got the Leeds, Sheffield United and Fulham, so they've got teams in and around them where they can pick points up from, so I'd expect probably them to be a little bit more pragmatic tonight, trying to work down a Wolves side that have conceded goals this season. They've got out and out strikers in Wood and Barnes, and particularly in terms of Wolves, they're not a huge side in terms of stature, so set piece is going to import from them, and you can see they've only scored 6 goals from this season at all, and only 3 of them have come from open play, so we know they've got a threat from set pieces, and I'm sure that's something they'll be targeting against Wolves this evening.
The Wolves players are in a huddle on their side of the pitch right now. They're in gold and black tonight. Let's run through the 2 11s for this one. Burnley make one change. Barnes in for Rodriguez from the goalless draw at Aston Villa. Pope in goal, Lowton, Tarkowski, Mee and Taylor the back 4. Brady, Westwood, Brownhill and McNeil the midfield 4, and then Wood and Barnes up front. For Wolves, 4 changes from that super victory over Chelsea, the late win midweek at Molineux. In come Kilman, Moutinho back from suspension, Aït-Nouri and Otasowie, who makes his first Premier League start. So 3 at the back for Wolves, the goalkeeper Patricio, Kilman, Coady and Saiss in front of him as the players take the knee ahead of kick-off at Turf Moor tonight. Premier League players voting overwhelmingly to continue the pre-match demonstration of solidarity in the message against anti-discrimination and anti-racism. We do get underway with our referee Lee Mason here. So Patricio in goal, Kilman, Coady, Saiss the back 3, Semedo and Aït-Nouri the wing backs, Moutinho, Neves and Otasowie the midfield 3, Podence and Neto up front. Wolves shooting from right to left as we look at it in their gold shirts, black shorts and gold socks. Burnley shooting from left to right in their claret shirts with light blue sleeves, white shorts and claret socks. The ball is in the air near the halfway line and brought down by the Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill. They're just inside the Wolves half, but Wolves have turned it over, and Otasowie, wearing number 54, who was very impressive, the young American off the bench against Chelsea, drives forward with the ball, plays it back to Saiss, and Wolves will look to build from the back. Darren Eadie, how do we expect Wolves to go about this one?
Yeah, exactly as you said there. I think they'll be patient. They'll look to play between the lines, but use the width they've got as well. So you've got 2 strikers who do like to play wide.
And they're immediately getting forward here. Semedo, right side of the area, plays it into Neto inside the box. His low cross is blocked by Ben Mee at the back post. He was sharp to it, the Burnley captain. It's headed out on the halfway line by Max Kilman after Burnley clear it away. Burnley 0, Wolves 0, just over a minute played.
It needed an early ball in there, didn't it, quickly? I think he held on to the ball too long, and on the right-hand side for Wolves there, if he'd have fired the ball in a lot quicker, he gave the opportunity for me to get back into position and slide in with a decent block, but I think if he'd have fired that ball across the 6-yard box, little 6-yard box a little bit earlier, Wolves might have had an early chance.
Burnley in possession near their own penalty area now, and Matt Lowton, their long-standing right back, gallops towards the halfway line, charges over it, water kicking up off the surface due to the heavy rainfall at Turf Moor this evening. It's a ball launched into the penalty area, and Rui Patricio, clad in all grey tonight, jumps off his line, he's sharp to it and gathers the ball on the edge of his penalty area for Wolves. Bowls it out to Saiss, who's playing on the left side of the back 3, but Wolves have given it away near the halfway line. Westwood plays it to Lowton. Lowton, low ball into the feet of Ashley Barnes, but it's well read by Connor Coady, who steps out from centre-back and works it into Daniel Podence. Podence switches the play with a lovely ball on the halfway line to the far side to Nelson Semedo, signed from Barcelona in the summer. Semedo trying to work his way around Dwight McNeil towards the byline. He's done well, but Charlie Taylor's helped out McNeil here, and between them Burnley have defensively sorted out and won the ball before launching it up to the halfway line.
But Semedo's buzzing, isn't he, coming from Barcelona to play on a cold, wet Tuesday night in Burnley. I'm sure he'd heard the rumours.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest away days in the Premier League, so they say. Though Burnley's form would not suggest that is the case. They start the day 18th in the Premier League table, lost 5 of their opening 6. And as Darren mentioned pre-match, they're certainly missing their home supporters here, who can make this quite an intimidating atmosphere. Burnley do manage to swing the ball into the penalty area from Westwood, but Rui Patricio, with that cross from some way out, shows his experience and quality by gathering the ball comfortably and bowling it into Saiss on the edge of his own area.
You will see a lot of that from Burnley tonight as well, with Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes in terms of their profile up front. 2 very direct strikers that like the ball into the box early, so from wide areas you'll see Burnley trying to get that ball in as early as they can.
On the bench tonight, by the way, for Wolves, Fabio Silva's come out of the starting 11, the 18-year-old who was signed for big money, £36 million from Porto. And despite the fact that Raul Jimenez is out after that fractured skull that he suffered against Arsenal, there's no place for Fabio Silva in the team, and no place in the team again for Adama Traore, who's only on the bench. Burnley go along with it. It'll run through to Rui Patricio, who is seeing a lot of the ball in the opening stages. Adama Traore, there was questions put to Nuno about him pre-match, Darren, about the fact he hasn't shown the form of last season. Will it be a concern for Wolves that he's not in their starting 11 tonight?
Well, I think he's a massive threat, isn't he, in terms of the way he was last season, but you have to earn your right to play in the side, and we only see what's going on when he's playing on a Saturday or during the week. We don't see what's happening in training. If he's not quite doing it in training, he can't expect to be starting games.
One of the players keeping out the team here, charging forward, Daniel Podence, was running at the Burnley back line. He charged into their half towards the edge of the area, but Burnley have turned it over. Nick Pope, who's wearing all green, thumps the ball up to the halfway line. The long ball up to Westwood, who heads it on to Barnes, who chests it down. The 2 centre forwards doing centre forward things, but the ball's turned over by Wolves and they shift it out quickly to the right hand side. Neto takes on Taylor near the penalty area and his cross is fizzed into Pope. That was quickly moved up the pitch by Wolves once they had won it.
Yeah, and as we said before the game, Neto is one of those wide men playing in the centre forward area. It's going to try and burst out wide and work in the areas between the 18-yard box and the touch line for Podence and to get in the box on the end of things, but you can see that a lot from Wolves tonight.
Here come Wolves again, 5 minutes into the game, goalless at Burnley. Nouri, the left back, has danced his way into the area, and as he tried to have a shot at goal, Tarkowski came out and managed to get the challenge in. Podence, left side of the Burnley box, steps onto his right foot and then back onto his left. He's got 2 defenders in his way, and eventually Lowton, with a sliding challenge, gets in to deny him the ability to cross. It is out for a Wolves throw-in near side, as we see Nuno in a heavy-duty black coat prowling the technical area with his iconic grey beard as well, and he sees his side win a free kick here, left side of the area from the throw-in. Nouri is caught, and a chance to Wolves to swing it into the box. 6 minutes in, goalless.
Yeah, not sure it's one of those things that Wolves are going to be a big threat from tonight in terms of set pieces. I don't think they're a massive side, particularly going forward, but that's what surprised me tonight, that Traore's not been in the side, because I just think against a team like Burnley, who do let you play in wide areas, the power and the pace that he's got in those areas would have been a massive threat. And I'm sure, getting to half time, if the score is still 0-0, perhaps he'll be massively considered for the second half.
Willie Boly also only on the bench. He's a threat from centre back for set pieces. Moutinho collects it from Neto and swings it a good cross, right footed, is headed away well by Wolves to the far side of the area, and Taylor just hacks it away, and we will see Chris Wood get back for set pieces, the New Zealand international, who helped deal with that well. So it's a throw into Wolves, far side, just inside the Burnley half.
Yeah, he's very good at that, isn't he? Not just in his work as a centre forward, his strength and his presence defensively as well is a massive asset for Burnley.
The only player with more than 1 goal for them in the Premier League this season as well, Chris Wood. There's 2.
I mean, it's a pretty awful stats, aren't they? I mean,
yes.
To score 6 goals in the Premier League season after 12-13 games is it's no surprise where they find themselves in the table.
And they might be in danger of conceding here, because Wolves have done superbly to shift the ball down the right hand side again. Semedo and Neto involved. It was played to Otasawi on the edge of the penalty area. He was arriving onto it sharply, the American teenager, and he's caught by Tarkowski. It's a free kick, 20 yards out, just slightly right of centre for Wolves.
You can see the tactics of Wolves as well, can't you? Plenty of balls in and around the 18-yard box, lots of sharp little passing, trying to work that Burnley defence that sometimes can be perhaps a little bit static.
You can see there's a big onus on Owen Otasawi as well to break for the penalty area when they do get the ball out wide from central midfield. He is a goal threat for Wolves at under 23 level, making a Premier League start tonight. 3 men over the free kick. They have good set piece takers, Wolves, slightly right of centre. João Moutinho skips up to it, rolls it, and the strike is straight into a Burnley player. I think it was Pedro Neto actually who hit that left-footed, and Burnley clear it up to the halfway line where Coady is waiting to collect it.
Yeah, pretty brave as well. I think I would have ducked out of the way of that one. Smashed it.
Especially like this one, as Podence swings the ball in towards the edge of the penalty area. Neto had his back to goal on the D of the box, but he can't trap it, and Burnley have won it back. Taylor in the left-back position steps forward for Burnley. It's on his left foot here, the yellow Premier League match ball. He works a 1-2 with Wood and wins a free kick actually there, Taylor. He's done well to relieve pressure for a moment.
Yeah, you see immediately as Taylor gets the ball and Lowton on the right hand side, as soon as they're picking the ball up in those full back areas driving forward, the heads are straight up. They're not looking to drive forward too much. They're immediately looking for Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes to try and play them an early ball.
You can see Sean Dyche also with an iconic beard, that red goatee and shaven head, talking to one of his assistant coaches, Tony Loughlin, in the technical area. Burnley have moved the free kick forward quickly, and Taylor with a cross on the left sees his ball go behind for what I think is a goal kick. I don't think there was a deflection on that, so it will be a goal kick to Wolves here. Burnley 0, Wolves 0, 9 minutes played. Darren Eady.
Yeah, it's disappointing really, I think, from Burnley in those particular areas. They get into good areas times wide, and Taylor did there, and they've got plenty of bodies into the box, but it's all about that delivery, and you can see why they haven't scored too many goals from open play, because they haven't created too many chances. No, we're only 9 minutes into this game, but they're quite direct when they get into their fullbacks, and the delivery hasn't been brilliant into the box so far.
Here is Max Kilman, who has the ball on the right hand side of the area. He got crowded out, and eventually the ball goes out of play from the right-sided centre-back's pass. He's into the team tonight for Willy Boly, only fit enough for the bench. The other player who was a doubt after picking up a knock against Chelsea, by the way, is Leander Dendoncker. He is not in their 20-man matchday squad, and a reminder, Premier League clubs voted to have 9 subs on the bench from this weekend, as Ashley Barnes scoops an effort over the bar from a relatively safe area from a Wolves point of view. So 9 subs available to both teams, but still, Darren, only 3 are allowed to come, as probably Jurgen Klopp the most vocal advocate for that.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do as well. I think that they're okay to have that many choices in terms of bodies on the bench, because we don't know where on the pitch that anybody could go down at any time because of the schedule and the amount of games the players have got. But I think if you start putting 5 on, it changes things massively in terms of the team structure within a game, and makes a little bit of a mockery of it. So I think the 3 substitutions is still the right choice.
Barnes is offside here for Burnley as they try and work a ball into the channel. And so Wolves will look to play out from the back here. Saiss, the Moroccan international, with a low left-footed pass out to Ait Nouri, one of the summer signings for Wolves. He was picked up from the French club Angers on loan, with a option in the deal to sign him on a permanent basis. Jonny, the Spanish international, currently out with a serious knee injury for Wolves. Ball bobbling near the Wolves penalty area here. Saiss tries to get ahead of it before Chris Wood does, who is caught in the face actually by Saiss, I think accidentally, as he was trying to bring it under control. Wolves thump it deep into Burnley territory, and it will be a throw-in.
It's a good matchup, isn't it, at the back foot for Wolves, to be fair. In terms of the strength, you've got Kilman and Coady, who are big, strong boys, and you've got Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood up against them. So, a classic old-school battle there, really.
Here is McNeil, just inside his own half for Burnley. Left side, shifts the ball into the channel and finds the feet of Wood. Wood back to goal on the halfway line. Moves it back to Ben Mee. Ben Mee shuffles across to Tarkowski, and it's a nice low pass from the England international Tarkowski to Lowton, who steps forward again. Down the right hand side to Robbie Brady. Brady back to the halfway line, but Burnley have got a more advanced shape here as Tarkowski pings a big diagonal over halfway to Taylor. Burnley enjoying a spell of possession but struggling to make inroads. Can they find the right pass here? No, Taylor's giving it away, and Wolves will look to break swiftly. Otasawi, big strides from the midfielder wearing number 54, who goes down and is holding his leg now after a challenge near the centre circle. No free kick, says Lee Mason. Burnley will continue to build now, having won the ball back. Taylor, low pass into Barnes. Barnes first time flick to try and find Wood, but it goes through to Rui Patricio. It's Burnley 0, Wolves 0.
You look at the strength of the back, or in an attacking area for Woods and for Ashley Barnes. You expect them to hold the ball up a little bit better for Burnley. You know, they're big, strong. They should be holding the ball up, let the players support them. But at the moment, they're not doing good enough job of that.
Here come Wolves. Pedro Neto into the channel. Nice overlapping run from Semedo's low cross into the penalty area is cut out by Tarkowski. And that has been an issue, really. We've seen Nelson Semedo do very well to get into good positions, but his end product just lacking. Throw in Wolves.
Yeah, he's a player that likes to run and burst beyond his centre forwards to get into the box as he does in that area. But it's a poor ball in. I think he's almost on the edge of the 18-yard box and almost gets a little bit ahead of himself. Tries to whip the ball across, but for me, he's probably better off just dinking that one up to the far post for the runners to run onto it.
Semedo takes the throw in, but it's won back by Burnley, and Barnes on the edge of his own penalty area turns out and in his red boots has the time to clip the ball over the halfway line. He can't find Wood, and Coady, now capped by England, an England goal scorer, and he even wore the captain's armband for them in October, dinks the ball forward. Semedo's in behind the entire Burnley back line. Ben Mee makes a sliding challenge. The flag, I think, has now gone up, but Wolves nearly in again from a situation out of nothing there, Darren.
Yeah, it was a strange one, really. My initial thought it was offside, so I'm not sure. Well, obviously the linesman wasn't quite sure, so he's kept his flag down. I mean, he's miles off. I mean, I don't know how the linesman could not see that and put his flag up initially. I mean, I know he's got the benefit of VAR these days to help him out, but you know, it's a silly one. You know, Semedo ends up bursting into the box. Ben Mee makes a wonderful challenge, a brilliant challenge, and actually Semedo should have done a lot better. Took the shot earlier, but I mean, it should never have got to that incident because he was probably 3 or 4 yards offside in the first place.
Ben Mee is slightly hobbling here, having made that challenge. He did start the season with thigh injury, but he has started the last 6 games in a row coming into tonight. Might be holding his calf there.
And that's the problem, Rob, as well. You know, they can lead to injuries and stuff, and the linesman's got to take responsibility there. If he knows he's offside, it doesn't lead to that challenge, which then doesn't lead to the potential injury of Ben Mee.
You would be surprised if the assistant in that scenario thought that's marginal. There was a good yard or so.
Well, it's right in front of him, so he's literally 4 yards away from him, in front of him. It's just not like he's across the other side of the pitch either.
Here come Burnley meanwhile, and McNeil has it on the left side of the Wolves penalty area. It's a good ball into Wood, who tries an acrobatic finish back to goal, tried to volley it in, and it's just wide. That is as good as Burnley have created. Goalless still, 15 minutes gone.
Yeah, absolute classic Chris Wood, wasn't it, on the left-hand side from Dwight McNeil, earning a little bit of space for himself, whipping the ball on the left-hand side. And as soon as you saw McNeil on the left-hand side looking to get his head up, Chris Wood was bursting into the 18-yard box, holding off his defender, back to goal, just tries to clip it over the side of his head, gets a nice little touch onto it, but just wide of the post.
Would have been a special goal, and Patricio looked pretty rooted to the spot. That incident also allows me to use my Dwight McNeil Chris Wood stat, which I know you've been waiting for, Darren.
I have, can't wait.
Dwight McNeil has 12 career Premier League assists, 12, and 7 of them have been for Chris Wood. You know exactly what Burnley are going to do on an occasion like tonight.
Yeah, and you could see that as well in Chris Wood's mind as soon as McNeil got the ball. He about turned and burst into the box. He had probably 20 yards to make up, got him himself almost in line with the on the edge of the 6-yard box, in line with the post, and knew where the ball was going to be delivered into. So, and that says exactly what they were going to do.
Ainuri for Wolves as they shifted over the halfway line. 16 gone, Burnley 0, Wolves 0 on Premier League Live. Roman Saiss drops the ball back into Coady. He always plays at the heart of that back three. He shifts it back into Saiss, now into Ainuri, who's tight to the touchline and just looking to get away from Robbie Brady, the Irish international. He will have to go back to Ruben Neves, who's alongside Coady here, and Wolves will look to build again. Kilman, Semedo, Jean Moutinho, halfway line into Ruben Neves in the centre circle. Neves with the space to pick out a pass, but it wasn't the best of balls, and Lowton cuts it out. It goes back to Pope, and Burnley sort that all out.
I think what I realise now, Burnley as well, and it was evident before the game, the way Wolves played this season, if they do go wide, it does tend to be down that right-hand side from Neto.
Otasawi driving for the area from Wolves midfield, goes over after a challenge from Tarkowski. It looked like he was actually looking for that one this time, went over Tarkowski's leg, and Lee Mason puts his arms across each other to suggest no free kick.
Yeah, he's got his arms up in the air, but he leans into Tarkowski, invites the foul, and it wasn't one.
Here's Jean Moutinho though. Wolves have the ball again near the Burnley penalty area. Central 30 yards from goal. Ruben Neves on his right foot clips a lovely ball out to the right hand side to Neto, who really is playing very wide despite being one of the front two. Cuts it back to Jean Moutinho, whose cross is deflected by a Burnley player, and it will be a corner to Wolves away to our left near side, 17.5 minutes into the game.
But you're exactly right before the game in terms of how they're going to play. Neto's going to be the link on that right hand side, and it's important that Otasowie and Neves and Moutinho and do burst into the box and get forward, because if Neto's bursting out wide, he's not going to have much of a presence in the air centrally, Neto, so he's naturally going to drift out wide as a winger, and he has got a good delivery into the box, but it's important that Wolves get those attacking midfielders into the box to get on the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Daniel Podence is probably the smallest guy on the pitch. I don't think he's going to do a great deal of damage in the air.
Sometimes they go unnoticed, the small ones.
They can sneak in behind.
That's it.
Well, let's see if he can from this corner for Wolves, which Jean Moutinho was going to take, but he will leave it, in fact, for Pedro Neto. So rather than being an in-swinger, it looks like it'll be an out-swinger, unless they go short, which might well be the game plan here. Wolves have three players right next to each other at the back post, all looking to run off each other. Coady, Kilman, Saiss, all in a little cluster there, the three centre-backs, and Burnley just pushing and shoving and trying to cause them problems. They take the corner short. Nori's delivery into the penalty short wasn't bad, but it's headed behind for the penalty spot by Roman Saiss, who's looking for his first goal of the season.
It was a classic training ground routine, wasn't it? 3 out on the corner, rolled it back to the left back, who whips the ball in first time. It's not a bad ball in, it's just not a very good header flicked on, and you've got those three lads at the back post looking to get on the end of it. Just needed for a little tiny touch on from Saiss to nick it on to them to have an opportunity, but he got far too much on it and puts it way over the bar himself.
Did see weird seeing three players around a corner for the short corner.
Well, it's just to draw the bodies out centrally from Burnley to make sure they've got bodies in there to be able to give themselves the opportunity to get on the end and create the spaces. But it was a decent enough ball in, but Saiss has got far too much of a header on it when all he needed to do was just that little touch to flick it on for the three men bursting at the far post.
And one of them was Podence. I imagine he just thought, there's no point me being in there. I'll just come out with you guys. 20 minutes on the clock. Burnley 0, Wolves 0. It wasn't a game that we suspected would bring us loads of goals. Burnley, the lowest scorers in the Premier League. Wolves without any recognised striker in their starting 11 tonight. Sean Dyche wishing his best to Raul Jimenez after that unbelievably serious injury that he suffered against Arsenal in a 1-0 win for Burnley. A massive win at the Emirates recently, when Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scored an own goal. Arsenal imploded effectively that day, with Granit Xhaka getting sent off as well. Wolves have also recently won at the Emirates, and they're coming forward here. Podence, left side of the pitch, hangs a beautiful ball out to the right hand side. Neto nods it down to Neves on the edge of the box. Neves clips it back out to Podence inside the area here. What can he do? Podence, the former Olympiacos man, dancing away from Brady, still in possession, has Ait-Nouri behind him if he wants to knock it back to him, but Podence swings it in towards Otasowie, but it's cleared by Burnley, and you can just see there that Wolves are lacking Raul Jimenez in those kind of positions.
Yeah, they are. Podence has got into the 18-yard box, and I thought he was just going to bring it down and hit it.
Yeah.
He took one or two touches too many and ended up driving out wide and crossing the ball in. Like I say, I think Raul Jimenez almost hits that first time, or certainly does second time, and that's the difference between an out-and-out striker and someone who's playing a part in the centre forward area. And you look at Wolves, they have some brilliant possession and play up to and around the 18-yard box, but once they get inside it, they look a little bit lacklustre in front of goal.
He's holding his calf again. He's now sat on the wet surface at Turf Moor. He was injured in that incident a few minutes ago as he was trying to deal with Semedo's break into the penalty area, but the Burnley captain was just down, pinched the back of his calf, looking at his teammate, and shook his head. So I imagine Ben Mee may well be coming out of the game here. We can see the physio team just giving that a little test out. Might be the ankle here.
Yeah, well, looking at the slow motion there, as Ben Mee slid in and nicked the ball away, Semedo absolutely, he's driving through on a shot with his right foot and smashes Ben Mee right in the Achilles, and that, they are sore ones. But if I'm Sean Dyche, I'll be pretty furious with the assistant referee, because he should have seen the offside, and that incident doesn't happen then. He's back on his feet, but it is one of those ones perhaps he can run off.
It feels like he's been trying to run it off for 5 minutes and not been entirely successful. The physio team have come out, and he's now trotting over to the touchline. It looks like Ben Mee might well be continuing here.
Yeah, a kick is always better than a pull, so they are one of those things. He ice it up at half time, give it a good massage, he might be okay to continue.
So Ben Mee trots back on midway point of the first half. It's 2-0 in the Premier League, still to come tonight on Premier League Live. And one of the fixtures of the weekend, Chelsea versus West Ham. Throw in to Burnley, halfway inside the Wolves half, as Lowton hooks a ball into the penalty area. Looks dangerous. Tarkowski flicks it on towards Wood. He was on the edge of the 6-yard box. Wolves have cleared it away. It'll break to Ruben Neves in Wolves' own half, and he starts a counter-attack. Pedro Neto, right side of the pitch, over halfway line. Quick, big strides as Otasowie looks like he's fouled on the edge of the area. Neto drives on, has a shot with his left foot. It's saved by the keeper, but Wolves are furious. They want a free kick.
Well, no, I don't think they deserve it either. I think Neto does really well, gets his shot away, then realises when he's not scored he's trying to claim for a free kick. I mean, Otasowie does get his ankles nicked. I'm not sure it's intentional by Tarkowski, but when we're looking at it again, I mean, Tarkowski is looking at him. You can almost see he's not going to catch him, and he does, I think, actually, you know what I mean, if the ref has a look at it again, you could bring that back for a free kick, because he does realise he's getting nowhere near Otasowie, and just nick his legs away from underneath him. Could have given a free kick there, and potentially a yellow card as well.
You called it there, Darren. You can see James Tarkowski's not looking at the ball out wide at all. He's looking at the legs of Otasowie, thinking, how can I stop this guy charging forward? And Otasowie actually lost a boot in the process. He's just
he's out of position. Tarkowski's massively out of position, and Otasowie's not being caught by him, and he realised Neto's breaking away as well, and perhaps if Neto hadn't taken a shot on so early, they may well have got something from that. But watching that back, it's a definite free kick. And this is, for me, when you talk about VAR, the things they should be seeing, because for me that should be brought back for a free kick.
Out wide here to Taylor. Burnley have possession here, 24 minutes on the clock, as Taylor is fouled right in front of the Burnley technical area by Pedro Neto. Lee Mason is the referee tonight. Stuart Atwell across VAR matters from the now infamous Stockley Park, and John Moss is the fourth official between Nuno and Sean Dyche tonight. I think that's almost the worst job, the fourth official job, just having those two competitors in your ear the whole game. Burnley have a free kick here just inside the Wolves' half. McNeil goes long with it. Lowton smacks a shot from 25 yards. The ball broke to him on the edge of the area, slices it, and it goes over the bar. Burnley 0, Wolves 0, 25 gone.
Well, there's very little from Burnley in an attacking sense, is there? They're having shots from distance. They get the ball wide. Probably from McNeil's probably the only one on the left-hand side that's managed to deliver a decent ball into the box so far. You've got two centre forwards, but both of them are feeding on absolute scraps at the minute.
So goal kick here to Wolves. By the way, Benjamin Schneider on Twitter's got in touch at TalkSport Live, tuning in from Birmingham, Alabama, predicting 2-0 Wolves tonight. The ball out for a throw-in currently. He's also asking you, Darren, do you still have your pace, and do you fancy a game at Arsenal?
Unfortunately, at the age of 45 and 26 operations, the pace is a little bit less than it used to be. So I'd,
you wouldn't beat Aubameyang in a
definitely not. Now, do you know what? I'd have done him in my peak. I've no doubt about that. But nowadays, no, it's beyond me right now.
At TalkSport Live on Twitter to get in touch. Throw into Wolves on the halfway line, far side on a wet night at Turf Moor. Tough game this for Wolves as they look for successive wins in the Premier League for the first time this season, having beaten Chelsea the other night. Ben Mee has continued to play, has the ball and works it back to the England international Nick Pope. Left-footed, Pope high into the sky. You can hear him boot the ball up towards Barnes, a familiar tactic, but Burnley haven't been able to make it stick, and Neto has it now right side of the pitch. He has looked like Wolves' most dangerous player. Neto back to Semedo, into João Moutinho. Wolves back to the halfway line. They might have to hit the reset button on this, although Ruben Neves is so tidy on the ball. He finds João Moutinho, and they keep it near the halfway line here. Neves out to Saiss. They've gone a little bit deeper. Good pressure from Burnley here, Darren, actually.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do close the ball really quick. They work really hard. You can never deny that. But Wolves, particularly in Neto, is that one who's going to sit out wide and almost cheat a little bit in a cheating position, which then draws particularly with Burnley playing a 4-4-2, it's going to drag Charlie Taylor across, or if he doesn't come, and Charlie Taylor likes to get forward as well, but, there's that space for Neto just to cheat in and stand there. When I say cheat, he's just not doing defensive responsibilities. He's making sure that he pulls into those wide areas to draw the defenders from Burnley across, and if they don't come across, he's got all that space to work in.
Wolves have had the majority of the ball, 58% of the possession so far. Just one shot on target between the two teams all game. If memory serves me right, that was Pedro Neto's low effort, held by Pope relatively comfortably. Goalless at Turf Moor, 27.5 minutes gone. The ball back with Nick Pope on the edge of his own area. He lumps it up the pitch. Might work out here though, because Barnes is through on goal. He strikes it sweetly. Really good save by the right foot of Rui Patricio. Wolves survive the scare and get it away. Great chance for Burnley, 0-0.
Well, that is what you call classic Route 1, isn't it? Smashed upfield, ran on from Chris Woods, and to be fair, Patricio should have come for it. The ball skidded on off the surface. He should have kept coming from his goal line. Decided to back off and give Chris Wood the option to shoot, but still makes a decent save in the end with his feet. But he really should have done better.
What a glorious opportunity. And Burnley, with the most Route 1 of attempts, nearly get through. One of their strikers has lost the ball here though, Wood, to Otasawi, who really looks at dynamic presence in central midfield, big and strong too, the young American who was linked with Liverpool once upon a time. Ruben Neves has it with Saiss now, back to Coady, and Coady near his own penalty area plays it out to Saiss as they look to build from the back again. Neves clips a long ball forward towards the centre circle, but Ben Mee steps out at centre back and nods it down to McNeil. Burnley have it on by Brownhill. Brownhill out to Taylor, left side of the pitch, halfway inside Wolves territory. Taylor tries to get around Semedo, but Semedo makes the challenge. It will be a throw in here.
I think it's fairly obvious what's going to happen to this one as well. It'll be a short throw and a cross into the box, or it will be a long throw into the box. But I'm just watching how Podence is playing for Wolves at the moment, because he doesn't really seem to be too involved in the game, and he likes to pull out one on the left hand side, but he doesn't do almost like Neto does on the right and pull right out here to try and create things from a wide area. And he's not really dropping into a number 10 role, because Otasawi's in there sort of filling that role anyway, so I'm not sure he's really offering enough at the moment.
I agree with that. Wolves have had the majority of the ball but haven't done a great deal with it, and both sides have had one shot on target. Burnley with the best chance, falling the way of Ashley Barnes, who hasn't actually scored yet this season. Actually hadn't scored in his previous 17 games for Burnley. Was a year and still trying to get up to full match fitness, you imagine. Comes in for Jay Rodriguez tonight. Ruben Neves uncharacteristically loses the ball on the edge of his own area. Burnley play it to Brady. Brilliant challenge from Ait Nouri. Gets back and stops Robbie Brady, curling that into the net with his left foot on the half hour. Another chance for Burnley.
Yeah, it was a decent tackle, but really should have been a better ball in as well. This is not quite enough pace on the ball, and Robbie Brady has to slow his run down. I know he wants on his left foot to whip it into that far corner, but there's not enough pace on the ball into him in the 18-yard box. He has to check his stride, which gives Norrie the chance to get back and block the tackle.
Ashley Westwood will know deep down that was not a good enough pass.
No, it wasn't. It needed another 2 yards on it. And Robbie Brady can either let the ball run past him and hit it with his right foot. We all know he likes to be on his left, but even if the pace is a little bit better on the ball, he still take it in his stride on his left foot and then get his shot away quicker.
What's worth noting as well for Wolves tonight, they are without their 3 top scorers from last season. Raul Jimenez scored 27 goals in all competitions and is out injured. Diogo Jota, of course, was sold to Liverpool for around £40 million. He was their second top scorer. The third, Matt Doherty, now Spurs right back, who scored 7 in all competitions, and you can just see that Wolves look a little bit blunt up front without some of their attacking talent available in Jimenez tonight.
That's like it seems an obvious one in Adam Traore, doesn't it, to have that kind of presence on the football pitch, because he does score goals. To say, I'm looking at Podence now, he's obviously just taken one in the stomach there from quite close range and winded him, but he's not offering very much for me at all tonight. For me, Traore playing in a wide area is certainly going to offer a bit more than he is.
Fabio Silva on the bench as well, and what expected of him, the 18-year-old signed from Porto, club record signing, £36 million. Have barely played any senior football in Portugal, but Wolves, in fairness to them, always seem to know what they're doing in the transfer market. Here's Brady, just inside his own half for Burnley. Not a lot's happened in the last minute or so. Throw-ins and scrappy play as Tarkowski manages to weave away from Otasawi, and the ball's out to the right side here to Lowton. Lowton with a low cross, cut out first time by Saiss at the near post. It hasn't been a classic so far. 32 minutes gone. Burnley 0, Wolves 0. Otasawi's fouled Ben Mee near the halfway line. He was late. Mee cried out in pain, but he's back to his feet quickly.
that was 100% commitment for both players there, wasn't it? We always knew Ben Mee would, and you see the bravery from Otasawi there as well, not afraid to put the challenge in, and rightly so. Every right to go for that.
So Burnley have the ball inside their own half, shifted on by Mee, out to Taylor on the right side of the pitch, being tracked by Podence. Still Taylor, moves it into Dwight McNeil. McNeil left-footed back to Mee, and they're back in their own half here, Burnley. So their last 3 games, by the way, and Sean Dyche said he was very happy with the fact they'd picked up 5 points from a difficult 3 matches. They drew 1-1 with Everton here on the 5th of December. Robbie Brady with the opener, Calvert-Lewin with the equaliser. They then won at Arsenal with that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang own goal, and then they got it's a decent result these days to get a point against Villa. Finished goalless at Villa Park, although it's worth noting that Dean Smith's side had 27 shots in that game against Burnley, and they still managed to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, I mean, they're not scoring vast amounts of goals, are they? So I think it's evident that their success has come recently because of the defensive partnership of Ben Mee and Tarkowski being back together. They're not conceding as many goals, which then gives them an opportunity to win those games by the odd goal, which they have done.
Burnley have a free kick in a dangerous situation here, so this is just on the right hand side of the penalty area, actually near the corner of the penalty area, slightly shuffled slightly along towards the touchline, and a chance for Burnley to swing the ball into the box. They are a threat in the air, everyone knows that. Crossing from McNeil, who actually goes low with it and straight into Brownhill, and what a wasted opportunity for Burnley.
That's a shocker. Sean Dyche was doing his head in on the sidelines.
Now Wolves can counter, can they punish it? Semedo charging forward from right back, it's a super run, finds Podence and Semedo try to work a little 1-2, but Burnley get enough bodies back and they break down the counter-attack. 0-0. Now Burnley up the other end. Here's Wood over halfway left side of the pitch, infield to Westwood back to Wood, who's on the left side of the box now here for Burnley. Taylor on the overlap will cross the ball into the area. Barnes is underneath it and he heads it into the net. Burnley have taken the lead 10 minutes before half time. It is typical Burnley. They have had their chances and now they get their goal. 0-0.
Yeah, it's a brilliant header by Ashley Barnes in the end. It's a decent cross from he bursts into the touchline, chips the ball up to the far post. We said Wolves should have done probably a little bit earlier. Thinks so onto the far post, and Ashley Barnes running in. Still got a little bit to do. He's got 2 defenders in front of him and the goalkeeper, but he powers his header right through the Wolves defenders. No mistake in the bottom corner.
A lovely, well-weighted clip cross to the back post from Charlie Taylor. And it was just hanging there, inviting Barnes to head it. Wolves did have defenders at the back post, but Barnes let better than either of them, and it squirmed under the legs of Rui Patricio, who could not do a lot about it. Patricio himself ended up in the net, trying to keep that one out. Burnley 1, Wolves 0, and in truth, Darren Eadie, they've had a good 5-10 minute spell here.
They have. I mean, Wolves went up the other end just before they scored and should have done better. I think Podence again was trying to be too clever with the back heel to Semedo when he should have just controlled the ball and rolled him in. But Burnley then burst straight back up the other end again. It looks as if the ball's going to be overhit and run out of play, but Taylor does really well to get to the byline, and as we said, you're not trying to whip that into any certain area, you're trying to dink the ball up far post, and Ashley Barnes knows that's what he's going to do. He's got nowhere else to be able to clip that ball into, dinks it to the far post, and just with a powerful header, low and hard into the goalkeeper, just puts as much paces on it as he can, and it goes right through the goalkeeper.
That goal will be a huge relief to Ashley Barnes, who hadn't scored this season. He hadn't actually scored in 2020. His previous goal, November 2019, in a 3-0 win at Watford. His first goal in 18. But Burnley have got themselves into a bit of bother here, because from the kick-off, Wolves have moved swiftly, and they've just earned a free kick. This 25 yards, Darren, from goal slightly left of centre, and Ruben Neves is over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually classic Neves territory, isn't it? Good opportunity for Wolves to try and get back level. Take an impressive free kick from this distance, though.
Neves sweeps the hair across his head on a wet night. Standing slightly left of the ball, steps up now, right-footed, cleanly hits it. I think there may have been a deflection on the wall to take that over. There was, and it goes behind for a Wolves corner.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive wall to try and get the ball over, isn't it? And Chris Wooden, right in the centre of it, does really well to just jump a little bit, doesn't make sure the ball doesn't go underneath his feet. He jumps just about 6 inches, just gets a tiny little touch on it, and the ball goes over for a corner.
Wolves go short with it with that 3-man short corner again. It's into Neves, who volleys from the edge of the area. We have seen him score goals like that for Wolves, but this one is just wide of the top left-hand angle of the crossbar. Burnley 1, Wolves 0. Ruben Neves with a half chance.
Yeah, again, it was a classic training ground routine. Neves outside the 18-yard box, ball clipped straight into him, bobbles up, just he has to hit it on the half volley. I think Nick Pope always had it covered, but he looked just to hit across that ball to try and whip it into that top corner.
Ruben Neves, a master of spectacular goals. He scored them in the Championship for Wolves in that sole season for him in the second tier of English football. It was Nuno's first campaign, of course, too, and Ruben Neves really announced himself as a player in England. He was known on the continent as there's a challenge here on the edge of the box by Kilman. Burnley go long again, and Wolves fail to deal with it, and Barnes is found by Kilman. Burnley, free kick, 25 yards out of the other end.
Yeah, only 7 minutes to go as well, so I'm sure this is going to be a direct shot on goal. I mean, Robbie Brady's got a decent left foot. I've seen him before when he used to play for Norwich in terms of his goal, his free kick taken. I'm sure this is going to be a direct attempt on goal.
So Brady is the one placing it, and you always seem to find that the play it. But there are a couple of candidates here for Burnley. Robbie Brady in long discussions here with Josh Brownhill, but Brownhill is the one taking 4 menacing strides back away from the ball. Brownhill, the right footer, Brady, the left footer, 25 yards out, left of centre this free kick, 5 in the wall. Brownhill strikes it really well, and it's just wide. Burnley, 6 minutes before the break, nearly have their second.
Yeah, I mean, it looks as if Robbie Brady's going to take it, but it suited the right footer from the left-hand side of the pitch. Whips the ball back across him over the top of the wall. Just not quite enough dip on it. Probably just a little bit too close in. Can't get the ball to come down quick enough. And Patricio just watches it over his bar.
He did just watch it. He was fairly far away from it there, Rui Patricio, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. But he has been beaten tonight. Burnley 1, Wolves 0. Saiss volleys the ball away from the Wolves penalty areas. Burnley go long again. I think Nuno Espirito Santo is going to have a rethink at half-time. I wouldn't be surprised if Adama Traore did come on fairly swiftly in the second half, if not at half-time. Wolves have a throw-in which Burnley are contesting on the far side of the pitch in front of the warming-up substitute. It's with Semedo, and Wolves will look to play out from the back. 5 minutes to the break, Darren Eadie.
Well, you know what you're going to get from Burnley for the rest of this game now. They've got themselves in front, they're going to defend resolutely, and I think it's going to turn into quite a physical game, so it would suit a substitution of Adama Traore to come on and try and make things happen for Wolves, because as I say, once they've got into good areas in that final third, they've not really had any shots on goal despite their possession.
A nasty head injury here, and Lee Mason has stopped the game. Otter Sowie, one of the players down for Wolves. I think it's Tarkowski. I think I can see the number 5 in his shorts there. There were physios and medical teams so swiftly around him that you can barely see James Tarkowski now, but he is being treated, as is Otter Sowie. Both are flat on their back. Looks like both are, after what happened with Raul Jimenez in the Arsenal game. Darren, it's understandable to see the medical teams move so swiftly to treat their players.
Yeah, again, a keenly contested ball. There was nothing wrong with either challenge from either party, but you do always get concerned when they stay down and don't really move. That's normally a sign to say there's something up a little bit more sinister than just someone trying to win a free kick. I'm sure hopefully they'll both come off and get checked, and this is why it's vitally important now that we do talk about concussions and concussion substitutions. I know they're thinking about bringing into football in the near future, and rightly so. We seem to be seeing more head injuries than ever in recent years.
You're absolutely right, Darren. That was discussed by the Premier League clubs last week when they made the decision as well to increase the number of substitutes, all agreeing to increase it to 9 from 7. It looks like in January they may introduce the idea of concussion substitutions, and it really has been off the back of the Jimenez injury in particular. So the two players still being treated. A slight pause in the game here, 3 minutes to half time, as we're seeing a look back at the goal for Ashley Barnes on our monitors.
Yes, a brilliant ball in by Taylor as well on the left hand side. He's being challenged but manages to keep his composure and just dink one up to the far post. It's a brilliant ball and gave plenty of time for Ashley Barnes to attack it. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. The ball's hung up at that far post. He had one thing on his mind. I'm going to leap as high as I can and drive through with his neck muscles to power that ball down into the surface almost. He didn't want to head it straight on. He knew he had to hit it and head it low into the ground because he had bodies running across him, and did it brilliantly well. And as we say, Patricio couldn't keep it out. He gets some kind of contact on it, but was on the header. There was no way of keeping it out.
Both teams down for 10, and we're just restarting here. There was a nice moment there actually just outside the technical areas. Tarkowski and Otasawi are on their feet and okay, and you just saw Tarkowski look to Otasawi and say, "You're right," and he said yes, and they bumped fists, and it looks like the pair are going to re-enter the game, and they have now. Otasawi has taken up his spot in central midfield. Tarkowski back at centre-back for Burnley, who lead the game here against Wolves, 1-0 at Turf Moor.
Well, he knew he was going to be in a battle tonight, didn't he, Otasawi, anyway, but he's been in the thick of it tonight. A bang on the head as well.
Welcome to the Premier League, as Burnley shift the ball into the penalty area. They do have the ball in the net, but it won't count because João Moutinho was fouled in the build-up. So free kick to Wolves inside their own penalty area, and they're looking to get back into the game.
We can see as well, since Burnley have got themselves in front, it's actually been all Burnley, hasn't it, in terms of possession, probably. Keep hold of the ball pretty well. They seem to have found a little bit of confidence, got themselves in front, and you know what you're going to get from Burnley when they do get in front. They're going to be resilient. So it is up to Wolves to find a way, because they've, since that, probably the first half an hour, they've not really had anything going forward at all.
Lumped for by Rui Patricio, Wolves. Otasawi turns out away from Burnley midfielders. He's done superbly there, the American. Ben Mee tries to slide into him, but Otasawi shifted out to Pedro Neto, right side of the pitch, infield by Neves. Saiss, left foot, thumps it for goal from 25 yards, but Westwood's in the way of it. Barnes can't make the ball stick for Burnley, and they've lost it again. Podence, though, crowded out by too many Burnley players as Robbie Brady picks his pocket. He clips it up to Barnes, works the 1-2, and then Brady goes down. No free kick, says Lee Mason. On we go. Ait Nouri, the left back, only 19 years of age, the Frenchman, shifts back onto his left foot, plays it into Ruben Neves, so just inside the Burnley half. Podence now tight to the touchline, left side. Daniel Podence for Wolves cannot quite get around all those Burnley defenders, and Wolves do look severely outnumbered in attack. Podence clips the ball to the far side of the penalty area to try and find Semedo in behind the back four, but he overcooks it, and behind it goes. 45 minutes played, Burnley 1, Wolves 0.
I mean, it makes such a massive difference when you have a natural centre forward playing for you, because you can see with Podence has got the ball there on the left hand side this time. It's all a little bit forced, there's no real movement inside the 18-yard box that a natural centre forward would make in terms of movement to try and create things, and you then try and force things a little bit too much, and that's what it seems Wolves are doing at the moment. There's no natural movement from a Raul Jimenez, as we know, would be brilliant inside the 18-yard box at making runs and little darting movements in front of defenders. At the moment it's all a bit static from Wolves when they get into that final third.
We've just had the board go up from the fourth official, John Moss, and it says we're going to have 2 additional minutes. We're already 30 seconds into that. Burnley 1, Wolves 0 at the end of the first half. Brownhill tries to work a little 1-2 with McNeil, but Otasawi has won the ball. I've been impressed with him in the Wolves central midfield. Otasawi plays the 1-2 with Moutinho, but fouls Westwood as he was stretching to try and reach it. He is getting stuck in, the young American, but he's given Burnley a chance to swing the ball into the area, and even though it's far from goal, you know that Burnley are threatening from these areas.
Yeah, he's done well, Otasawi. I mean, he gets booked in the end, which I think is a little unfair. I mean, it's an awful ball into him when it's rolled back, and he has to stretch out to try and stop them bursting forward. Burnley bursting forward on the break, and commits a foul, but I'm not sure it's